Right before she moved to Rexburg, she said that Tylee had been possessed by evil spirit or a demon, and she called it Hillary.
Do you remember how many times she's talked about Tylee being possessed by the spirit Hillary or the demon Hillary?
About 2-3 times.
Okay, more than once.
Correct.
Okay. What about JJ, but him being attacked by demons? You know, did she say this once or more than once?
More than once.
Right now, the murder trial of the Doomsday Mom, Lori Vallow, getting back underway in Boise, Idaho. The widow of Vallow's brother is back on the stand today. That's who you were just hearing from for more on cross-examination. Her name is Zulema Pastanes. She was only married to Alex Cox, Lori's brother, for 2 weeks until he died of what authorities called natural causes. Pastanes, as you just heard, testified Friday that Vallow thought her children were possessed by demons and eventually became zombies. We now know both their bodies were found June 9th, 2020 on Chad Daybell's property. That is Lori Vallow's current husband. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joshua Ritter. He's also the host of the True Crime Daily Sidebar podcast, and he's been following this trial along with us for the last couple of weeks, expected to last 10 weeks. No cameras in the courtroom, Joshua, so we rely on the audio from testimony each day. I just want to be clear and kind of simplify what is a very complex case. There has not been any physical evidence shared yet in court, right, that ties Lori Vallow to the death of her 2 kids.
That's a very important point. This case has primarily been about motive and consciousness of guilt, which it's not to say that those aren't powerful pieces of evidence, but you're right to point out that there has been little kind of forensically connecting her to the crime scene. We have a crime scene. It's brutal. It's been the subject of very emotional testimony as far as the recovery of the children. But even as far as where the deaths took place is still somewhat of a mystery so far as what's been presented in court.
So is that going to be a challenge for the prosecution?
Well, it's certainly going to be something that the defense is going to focus on. It's one thing to say that, listen, she was saying a lot of crazy things about her kids. She had a lot of motive to believe that they would be better off if they were dead. She behaved very bizarrely afterwards. She was having these phone conversations with her husband while he was in jail, talking about the search of the property. All of that is circumstantial evidence. All of that is powerful. But the defense is going to point out, okay, that's all fine and good. What connects her to these actual murders? And they'll focus in on that. The prosecution needs to have some sort of answer for it.
So far, and you talked about some really compelling testimony, we've heard from the detective who did uncover the bodies at that gruesome crime scene on Chad Daybell's property. We also heard from the grandmother of JJ. We heard from the former best friend of Lori Vallow, and now we're hearing from Lori Vallow's dead brother's widow. Who do you think has been the most compelling as this jury tries to make sense of all of this and the different layers to this trial?
I think they've all been compelling in their own way. Certainly this last bit of testimony that we've heard talking about, any of the testimony that we've heard about the way that she discussed her children and how they were possessed and how they were zombies and evil spirits and how they fell on the dark side of the spectrum and needed to be kind of purged of this. It's first of all, it's eerie and it's disturbing. But then to realize that her and her husband most likely followed through on those things is really going to be captivating to the jurors. But again, they're going to have to somehow connect her to their actual deaths.
Right. And it's